Do you ever feel like you're being guilted into making decisions? Is it possible that you're under the influence of a manipulator? Today we look into manipulation, finding out how some people use devious techniques to make others do what they want in conversations. Picture yourself in the midst of a seemingly normal conversation when suddenly the tone shifts. The person you're talking to, the manipulator, begins weaving a narrative where your actions, however benign, are painted in a shadow of doubt and blame. It's a skillful psychological art where guilt is used as a scalpel, carving deep into your self-esteem. You begin to question your decisions, feeling the weight of guilt that seems to cloud your judgment, making you apologize for actions that were reasonable and justified. This manipulative technique is often so subtle and artfully done that you might not even notice it happening. The manipulator might say something like, "I do everything for you, and yet you seem so ungrateful," or "After all I've done, I can't believe you choose to do this." These statements aren't mere expressions of disappointment. They are calculated to trigger a guilt response. The objective is clear: to make you feel responsible not just for your own actions, but for the manipulator's emotional state as well. This guilt is not about correcting wrongdoings. It's about control. The manipulator embeds themselves into the role of the aggrieved party, the one who has been wronged, and casts you in the perpetual role of the offender. This dynamic puts you on the defensive, constantly trying to assuage a guilt that never fully abates, which keeps you emotionally tied to the manipulator. As you become more entangled in this web of guilt, your ability to make independent decisions diminishes. Every choice is second-guessed, weighed against the potential to displease or disappoint the manipulator. The art of guilt turns the natural human desire to do right by others into a weapon against oneself, manipulating emotions to erode autonomy and assert dominance. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. It involves stepping back from the emotional canvas to see the broader picture, understanding that guilt is being used not as a tool for emotional connection, but as a leash to maintain control. Breaking free from this cycle means reassessing interactions and realigning them with a perspective of self-respect and autonomy, ensuring that feelings of guilt are responses to genuine missteps, not manipulative fabrications. Envision yourself as a marionette, dangling from strings in a puppeteer's hands, each tug subtly guiding your movements without your conscious consent. This image captures the essence of manipulation, where the master manipulator plays the puppeteer, skillfully pulling the strings behind the scenes to orchestrate your actions. Their influence is hidden, cloaked under layers of charm and persuasion, making you dance to a tune you hear but don't recognize. In this dance, the manipulator implants ideas and suggestions so seamlessly into conversations that they bloom as if they were your own. They may start with something small, like choosing a restaurant or a movie, but soon enough their suggestions become the decisions that define your life's course. This control extends subtly, ensnaring you in webs of dependency that you wear like a second skin, too tight to strip off, too ingrained to notice. The puppeteer's strings are crafted from carefully chosen words and actions, tuned to resonate with your deepest desires and fears. For instance, they might echo back your own words, slightly twisted to align with their goals. Or they might stage scenarios where the easiest path, the one that causes the least discomfort, leads straight into their plans. This manipulation doesn't just control you, it reshapes you. Over time, your desires and will seem to align perfectly with theirs, not through coincidence, but through careful, deliberate influence. The danger here is profound, as losing your sense of self is a quiet erosion, like sand slipping silently through an hourglass. To cut these strings, awareness is your sharpest knife. It's about seeing the puppeteer's hands in every gentle nudge against your autonomy, recognizing the subtle force behind your free choices. Reclaiming your independence means questioning the origins of your desires and decisions, ensuring they are authentically yours, not shadows cast by someone else's intent. Imagine being caught in a storm where calm skies abruptly turn tumultuous. This is akin to the emotional whiplash caused by a master manipulator, a sudden and intense swing from soothing reassurances to stark criticisms. These emotional extremes are not random bursts of feeling, but are precisely calibrated to unseat your emotional stability. The manipulator skillfully controls the climate of your interactions, ensuring you remain uncertain, off balance, and more susceptible to influence. In one moment, you may be basking in their praise, feeling valued and understood, only to find yourself moments later reeling from a sharp rebuke or a cutting remark that comes out of nowhere. This jarring switch is disorienting, fostering a psychological fog that clouds your ability to see the manipulation woven through each interaction. The inconsistency of your emotional experience keeps you anxious and eager to regain the fleeting warmth you once felt, making you more likely to conform to their desires in hopes of stabilizing the emotional turbulence. The strategy behind emotional whiplash is to break down your psychological defenses by keeping you on an emotional seesaw. Feelings of love and acceptance are interspersed with periods of cold withdrawal or overt criticism, conditioning you to strive increasingly harder for their approval and affection. This cycle can be addictive. The highs are euphoric, making the lows seem tolerable and worth navigating for the sake of the next emotional upswing. Recognizing this pattern is essential for breaking the cycle. Understanding that these emotional extremes are tools of manipulation rather than genuine expressions of affection can empower you to detach and regain your emotional equilibrium. Building emotional resilience and seeking a stable support system outside of the manipulative relationship are crucial steps towards recovery and reclaiming your emotional independence. Step into a world where the lines between truth and fiction blur, a domain masterfully curated by a manipulator. In this altered reality, your perceptions are slowly reshaped as the manipulator sows seeds of doubt about what you remember and believe. This mental maze is not constructed overnight. It is built brick by brick, each one a distortion or half-truth laid at your feet, until you find yourself standing in a landscape unrecognizable from your own past perceptions. The manipulator's craft lies in the subtlety of their alterations. They might dismiss your concerns with a laugh, chide you gently for your overactive imagination, or counter your recollections with their own, starkly different versions of events. You're remembering it wrong, they might say, or you always get things mixed up. These statements, seemingly simple, are actually calculated to make you question your sanity, your memory, and your grip on reality. As you grapple with these doubts, the manipulator fills the gaps in your faltering certainty with their own narrative. This replacement reality is one where they often play the hero or the victim, never the villain. Over time, you may find yourself deferring to their version of events, not out of belief, but out of a weary resignation that it's easier to accept their reality than to contest it. Breaking free from this manipulation requires a reclamation of your truth. It demands a firm grounding in your own experiences and perceptions, bolstered by tangible reminders and, when possible, validation from others who share your reality. Affirming your memories, trusting your senses, and maintaining a written or recorded account of events can help anchor you in your truth, enabling you to start dismantling the fictitious world the manipulator has constructed around you. Imagine finding yourself on an island, slowly realizing that the waters separating you from the mainland were not nature-made, but deliberately channeled by someone you trust. This is the essence of the isolation tactics used by master manipulators. They gradually and systematically draw you away from your support network, making you an island unto yourself, dependent solely on them for emotional sustenance and perspective. The process often starts innocently enough. Slight criticisms of your friend's intentions, subtle discouragements from family gatherings, or expressions of jealousy masked as concern for your well-being. They don't really understand you like I do, the manipulator might suggest, or I just want us to have our special time without anyone else around. These comments, though seemingly benign, are the first stones thrown into the waters of your relationships, creating ripples that widen over time. As you become more isolated, the voice of the manipulator becomes louder and more influential in your life, overshadowing and eventually silencing other perspectives. You might start to see your relationships through the lens they provide, one that distorts and diminishes your connections with others. The more isolated you become, the more you rely on the manipulator, not just for companionship, but for your very sense of reality. Reconnecting with your network and breaking out of this isolation involves recognizing the tactics for what they are. Deliberate strategies to weaken your defenses. Rebuilding bridges with those you've been steered away from can restore a broader perspective and diminish the manipulator's control. It's about stepping off the island, wading through the waters, and reclaiming your place on the mainland, surrounded by those who offer genuine support and affection. Picture yourself in a perpetual state of emergency, where each day brings a new crisis that only you can solve. This relentless urgency is not the result of unfortunate coincidence, but is carefully crafted by a master manipulator. They create scenarios of chaos, expertly designed to keep you off balance and perpetually needed. In this world, the manipulator often casts themselves alternately as the victim in dire need of rescue, or the only one who can guide you through the storm they have conjured. The emotional terrain of these manufactured crises is rugged and exhausting. It's akin to walking through a minefield where every step could lead to another explosion of drama and stress. The manipulator knows that by keeping you busy with the latest disaster, you have little time to reflect on the nature of your relationship or the authenticity of each emergency. This tactic not only monopolizes your time and energy, but also feeds into their narrative of indispensability and your dependency. In these moments, your role as the savior or the fixer becomes your identity, overshadowing all other aspects of your life. You become so entangled in solving these endless problems that detaching seems not only impossible but almost irresponsible. The manipulator, seeing you wear down, might throw in periods of calm, mimicking the eye of a storm, giving you just enough relief to recuperate before the next crisis hits. To break free from this cycle, it's crucial to start questioning the legitimacy of each emergency and to observe the patterns. Recognizing that these crises are often exaggerated or entirely fabricated can help you step back and evaluate your responses. Gradually, you can learn to set boundaries, conserve your energy, and redirect your focus towards building a life that isn't dictated by someone else's chaos. This shift not only mitigates the manipulator's influence, but also empowers you to live a more peaceful, autonomous life. Envision a world where every gift comes with strings attached, where each word of praise is a coin in a scale, subtly tipping the balance of power. This is the realm of the master manipulator, where compliments are not merely expressions of admiration, but calculated investments used to incur debt. Each flattering remark is strategically placed, designed to soften you up, making you more malleable to their will. When a manipulator offers compliments, they often do so lavishly and at times when you feel most vulnerable or needy. The praise might seem like a warm ray of sunshine on a cold day, momentarily lifting your spirits and bolstering your self-esteem. However, the warmth is fleeting, quickly overshadowed by the looming expectation of reciprocation. After all the nice things I've said, how could you refuse me this favor? They might imply, making it clear that every compliment had a price tag. This tactic is insidious because it corrupts the genuine joy and connection that compliments should foster. Instead, you're left calculating the cost of accepting such praise, wary of the obligations that might follow. The emotional currency exchanged in this dynamic is fraught with manipulation, leaving you indebted and obliged. To navigate this minefield, it's vital to recognize when flattery is used as a tool rather than a genuine act of kindness. Listening not just for what is said, but why it is being said, helps discern the motive behind the words. By understanding this, you can appreciate genuine compliments while remaining cautious of praise that feels overly timed or excessive. This awareness allows you to accept words of admiration without falling into the trap of manipulated gratitude, helping maintain your autonomy in relationships clouded by ulterior motives. Recognizing these signs is the first step in freeing yourself from the manipulator's web. Awareness empowers you to reclaim your thoughts, trust your memory, and restore your relationships. Remember, breaking free from manipulation begins with trusting your instincts and reasserting your right to make decisions free from guilt and coercion. This exploration into the mechanics of manipulation isn't just an academic exercise, it's a call to arms. Guard your autonomy fiercely and remember that the right to make your own choices is sacred. Don't let anyone trick you into believing otherwise. Share your experiences below and join the conversation on breaking free from manipulative grips. Until next time, stay vigilant and protect your peace.